All right, here we go. Our final maverick that we are going to look at in this course is around the concept of dramatic reading forms. So let's jump right in. So basically, these are dramatic reading forms that are from the drama curriculum. So if you were looking at the actual upward education drama curriculum, you would see these dramatic forms from there: choral speech, choric speech, and reader's theater. So we are going to jump into what each of those means. So before we do though, can dramatic reading actually fulfill ELA outcomes? Because for us as really proficient readers, it seems like, well, it's just reading. It's just reading a script over and over again. How can that actually fulfill ELA outcomes? Basically, this is a chance for kids to dive deep into one piece of work. Instead of seeing so many works on surface level, they dive deep into one piece of work. They have to talk about the text. They have to talk about the character. They have to talk about setting. They have to talk about all those story characteristics in order to interpret the story. They have to collaborate with their team to say, I think that the Grinch should sound like this, and I think the Grinch should sound like this, and well, what is the character of the Grinch, and why is the Grinch so grinchy, right? And so all of those things that you're starting to see. Where am I? Here's my pencil. Okay, so starting to see that they can discover and explore, they can clarify and extend, they can use strategies and cues, they can respond to text, they can plan and focus, select and process, organize, they can enhance and improve, present and share, and then all that collaborative work. I did take some of these out. I did take some of the ELA outcomes out that you couldn't really fulfill through reader's theater. But there are reader's theater, choric speech, and choral speech. But there are so many, again, ELA outcomes that you can fulfill using these dramatic reading forms. Okay, so let's jump in. So choral speech basically is when you have a group of students narrating a poem or story utilizing unison. So they all talk together. Antiphonal, where you have one side says something, another side responds, goes back and forth. Solo, only one person. And chorus speaking, where you might have a particular group of students who is your chorus in there. It does not have to include movement, but it can include minimal movement. So you don't have to have them, standing there stock still. They can include minimal movement. But in choral speech, it focuses on the text and the speech rather than actual dramatization of it. So I've given you a YouTube clip to go look at. So these are grade 4 students doing a choral speech work. So go there now, stop me, have a look at this example, because again, good to have examples. Okay, hopefully that example helped you clarify what choral speech is. Now we're going to look at choric speech. Choric. So this is a group of students, again, narrating a poem or story, utilizing a unison, again, antiphonal, solo, and chorus speaking. But this choric speech, you will include movement and dramatization. So then it's another whole level of, well, how could we depict swoosh, or how could we all, whenever we say the Grinch's name, how could we stand to depict the Grinch? So again, some real depth of understanding of character, of plot, of setting, of basically the overarching story happens when you do choric speech. Plus, it's super fun. Kids love coming up with ideas around how could you actually dramatize this story. Okay, so again, watch this. I have 2 clips here. Watch this grade 4-5 YouTube example and this grade 4-6 YouTube example. And again, I think hopefully it will spin some ideas of how this could be super cool, how you can actually teach fluency, because they all have to say the text perfectly together, or else it doesn't work. Think about all of the thought process that went into all of the actions. Think about all the collaboration that happened. So again, all those good things. So have a look at those YouTube clips. Okay, it's fun. It's just fun, isn't it? It's a fun way to fulfill those ELA outcomes, as well as, again, working on phonemic awareness, vocab, fluency, comprehension, starting to get the idea. Okay, reader's theater. Now, there's always a little bit of a issue with where does the apostrophe go. You'll see it as readers with an apostrophe here. You'll see it as readers with apostrophe here. You'll see it with no apostrophe. It really doesn't matter. It just there's no unified way. So however you do it, just try to be consistent. I'm not sure if I was consistent, but hopefully I was. So reader's theater is students read a prepared script. It's not memorized. You don't have to have costumes or props. You can have movement and staging, but again, it's not required. So if you wanted to have a little bit of movement, you wanted to have like the Grinch walking through the kids being Grinchy, you certainly could. You could group up students into little groups using different levels. So some are standing, some are sitting, just to make it look a little bit more visually appealing. But that's not the focus. Okay, the focus is the reading of the script and the interpretation of the text. Okay, so what it does is it helps develop vocal skills, so their expression, their energy, their pitch, their pace, their rate, their intensity, their volume. And they work on they can communicate effectively from a prepared script. So when they actually, what this does is it expands to when they see another script, they know how to interpret it. But then when they start to read stories, they can start to see it as a bit of a script. And so they can keep characters straight and things like that. And when done, a few prepared scripts, you can adapt own material into reader's theater style. A word of caution: it is hard to write a really good reader's theater script. So I would say use some prepared scripts for your first 3 or 4 reader's theater, and then start to work on maybe creating your own. But it's tricky to write a really good script. So you want them to have success. So maybe use some already pre-made scripts to begin with, so that until you get some experience with this under your belt, and then jump into writing your own. Just a cautionary tale there. Okay, so again, I've got some grade 3 readers theater example. So on this particular one, just scroll down a little bit. You'll see it says grade 3 example, and then here's a grade 4 readers theater example on reading rockets. So again, just have a look at those. Stop me and have a look at those examples right now. Okay, so you get the idea of readers theater, especially for those kids who are a little bit more dramatic and maybe like to, get in there and move around and be the clown of the class. There's actually a space for them, and you actually really need them in readers theater. And so again, that natural differentiation where you are naturally differentiating for these kids. When you are actually I'm going to talk about that later, so I won't do that now. This is one of this walking children through readers theater process is probably one of the best 5-minute overviews of how to actually set up a readers theater mini unit, like a week long. He just goes through just day 1, day 2, day 3, and what it looks like at the end. So that's definitely worth watching. These are some resources for you to find scripts, and these are again geared for elementary students, and I've seen a few of them done out in elementary classes, and they seem to work. Again, you have to be their materials that are not made particularly for your class, so you may have to do some adapting. The best class one is this fellow's link. This is this fellow's website for readers theater. So you might, if you're interested, go to there. And then I suggest for this particular one here, the last one, you register for the 14-day free trial when you're about to do the unit. So you can go on there, grab stuff, and then don't have to pay for it in there. Okay, so what I was going to, no, I'm going to just go to this. So what we're going to do is in our collaborate time, actually it's probably going to be on Google Meets, but I'll send that out to you, is we're going to do some of these Choric Speech, Choral Speech, and Reader's Theater. So what I've done is I have sent you the scripts. You are most welcome to have a look at the script, read through your lines before we do this together on Monday in class time. And I want you to prepare your text using the following criteria. So I want you to think about speaking clearly, expressively, and with ease and energy. 371 keeps haunting you, right? I want you to vary pitch, pace, rate, intensity, and volume. I want you to communicate the meaning of the piece of literature. I want you to phrase for meaning, find natural rhythm of text. I want you to emphasize color words like swoosh, things like that. Engage voice, face, and body, especially like up from here up, because that's all we can see, right? Now, if you were to do this in the classroom when you would have groups of students working together, you would also want to have them work on blending with others, because that's a big part of readers theater and Choric speech and choral speech is blending with one another. But because of this medium, we're going to do all solo because it's just too wonky to do to have you come on and try to read together in there. Okay, so these are the works that we're going to work on. Again, you will see it on, I will post the scripts under Blackboard Lesson 11, so feel free to go and have a look there. In normal times, when we would do this in person, I would definitely group you together. So there would not be nearly as many solo sections. I would have all of you in all of these. So just because of the medium, I had to split it up into solo. And again, this is where you would absolutely differentiate. So if you have a struggling reader, you're not going to give that struggling reader a huge paragraph with tons of crazy words in it. You're going to give that struggling reader lines that repeat, that they say basically the same thing almost all the time. You're going to put that struggling reader in a small group so that they can hear other fluent readers. Eventually, you will, if there is a perfect part, like a main character, like a Grinch kind of character that has just a few lines and fairly repetitive, you might want to put your struggling reader in that one because it actually gives them a lot of success and a lot of positive attention because they're the main character, but yet their actual reading level doesn't have to be that high. So again, this is one of those maverick strategies where differentiation is just a natural part, but that comes from your preparation, you knowing the script really well, you knowing your students' personalities and reading level and comfort level of being, performing, and then you just make it happen, and it just looks kind of like it happened haphazardly, but you absolutely have sat the night before and gone, okay, I need to have these 3 kids together, and I need to have this one here, and so it looks this sort of here are your lines, but it's so differentiated that they don't even know it. That's the perfect way. For you guys, there was none of that. I just put you in alphabetical order and boom, went through. So hopefully it works. It works for you guys. Okay, so basically what you're going to do is choral speech. I like myself. You're going to just, whatever number you are, just that's what you're going to read in our collaborate time. So we have 5 examples. So here's the choral speech. Here's the Choric speech, the Vinder Viper. We have the Raven, which is Edgar Allan Poe, which is super cool. The Raven, you guys have a little bit longer reading, so I would look through that, and some trickier text in there. We have the Grinch Who Stole Christmas. You're welcome, Josh. You get to be the Grinch, and Brittany gets to be the narrator. And then we have all of the rest of you being the other narrators. Again, if we were in person, I would definitely have grouped you up in this and actually done some blocking where I would have had Josh moving around through the villagers. But unfortunately, it doesn't work on this medium. Okay, and then finally we'll finish off with the places you'll go. So again, just a note here, all is all, so we will have everybody just click on for that and be ready because it comes fast in this particular one. Okay, so hopefully you enjoy this. Have a read through your lines, and we will have a go with this in our time in Collaborate.